If you're watching this, something inside you has already shifted. And I want to start by telling you the truth about what's really happening here. This isn't about the universe choosing you like some cosmic lottery. It's about you finally recognizing yourself. When the inner is ready, the outer appears. Not because reality bends to your wishes, but because your perception opens to see what was always there. You're not special because you found this video. You're in a psychological threshold that makes you receptive to certain information. There's a profound difference between being chosen and being ready. What you're experiencing right now, this feeling that you've been guided here, is what synchronicity actually means. Not magic, not fate selecting you from a crowd. It's the alignment between your internal readiness and external opportunity. Your psyche has reached a point where it can recognize patterns it couldn't see before. You're creating meaning through recognition, and that recognition changes everything. Before your mind can articulate what's happening, your body already knows. There's an exhaustion you've been carrying that sleep doesn't fix. You wake up tired? Not because you haven't rested, but because your body is refusing to carry the false self anymore. This isn't depression, though it might look like it from the outside. It's incubation. The psyche and body are not separate. They're one reality experienced from different angles. And right now, your body is speaking a language your conscious mind hasn't learned to translate yet. You might feel it as a tightness in your chest when you try to perform roles that once felt natural. Maybe it's migraines that appear before certain social obligations. Perhaps it's hormonal disruption that no doctor can fully explain. These aren't pathologies, they're communications. Your body is rejecting incongruence before your mind can admit the truth. The wisdom isn't in your thoughts, it's in your cells. Your nervous system has already made the decision that your consciousness is still debating. This is what happens when the persona, that social mask we all wear, becomes a prison. When adaptation becomes amputation of the self. For years, you've been excellent at adapting. You've shaped yourself to fit expectations, relationships, professional roles. You've been so good at it that you forgot you were doing it. But the body keeps score. And eventually, it sends an invoice that can't be ignored. Your body is the underground river that knows the way home before your mind can read the map. Trust what it's telling you. The exhaustion, the physical symptoms, the visceral rejection of certain situations, these aren't signs you're broken. They're signs you're waking up. There's a phase in alchemical transformation called the nigredo, the blackening, the death before rebirth. You might be in it right now. It feels like a desert, empty, isolating, endless. Solitude has become non-negotiable, not because you're running from pain, but because something in you requires this withdrawal. The psyche has its own wisdom about when to retreat, when to turn inward, when to stop performing for an audience. Conversations that once energized you now drain your reserves. Relationships reveal themselves as transactional. You can feel the difference between genuine connection and social performance, and you don't have the energy to pretend anymore. The effort to maintain false connection becomes unbearable. This isn't misanthropy, it's discernment awakening. You're developing the capacity to sense what's real and what's performance, and most of human interaction, you're discovering, is elaborate pretense. Right now, you exist in what's called a liminal threshold. You're no longer who you were, but not yet who you're becoming. Betwixt and between. This space feels dangerous because there are no reference points. The old identity has dissolved, but the new one hasn't fully formed. Ancient initiations required isolation for this exact reason. The tribal elders knew that transformation cannot happen in the middle of the village. It requires the desert. It requires darkness. It requires a space where the old self can die without an audience. The void isn't empty. It's pregnant with possibility. Every mirage of who you thought you were must die, so the oasis of who you actually are can be found. The desert doesn't kill you. It strips you down to what's essential. Gestation requires darkness, not exposure. Seeds don't sprout under floodlights. They need the underground, the hidden, the quiet pressure of earth and time. You are germinating. Honor the desert. It's not punishment. It's the womb. There's a part of you that you've been taught to bury. Not the bad parts, though. That's what you were told. The powerful parts. The aspects of yourself that threatened your acceptability, your lovability, your safety in a world that prefers women diminished. What women bury, anger, transformed into niceness. Ambition repackaged as supportiveness. Sexual sovereignty reduced to desirability for others. Selfishness as healthy self-interest, condemned as narcissism. The capacity to say no, guilted into compliance. All of this, the rejected, the suppressed, the denied. This is what depth psychology calls the shadow. And here's what most people misunderstand. The shadow isn't just darkness, it's buried treasure. It's the chest of gold you hid to stay safe. But safety bought with self-betrayal is just slow death. The energy you've used to suppress these parts of yourself isn't available for creation. It's locked in an underground vault, guarding against your own power. What you reject in yourself, you project onto others. The women you judge for being too much, too loud, too ambitious, too sexual, they're showing you your disowned parts. We don't become enlightened by imagining light. We become whole by making the darkness conscious. This is the work. Not rejecting the shadow, but retrieving it. Meeting it without identification. This is in me, not what I am. Bringing the rejected parts into dialogue. The shadow as advisor, not enemy. When you begin this integration, something shifts in your presence. You become more solid, more magnetic. Not because you're performing power, but because you're no longer leaking energy through suppression. You're whole. And wholeness, true wholeness, frightens people. Not because you're aggressive or domineering, because you're complete. You've retrieved what was taken, what was buried, what was denied. And your authenticity mirrors back everyone else's fragmentation. Your refusal to pretend destabilizes collective pretense. What you've rejected in yourself isn't bad. It's power you were taught to fear. Retrieval begins with curiosity, not judgment. What have you been calling darkness that might actually be gold? There's a fundamental reorganization happening in your psychic structure. A shift from one archetypal pattern to another. From maiden consciousness to queen consciousness. The maiden forms her identity through external reflection. Her power is potential, not actualized. She asks the world, "Who am I?" And she waits for the answer. Her sense of self depends on what others mirror back. Do you love me? Do you approve? Do you think I'm enough? This isn't weakness. It's a developmental stage. But something must die for something to be born. And what's dying in you right now is the maiden's dependency on external validation. The queen doesn't ask if she's enough. She knows. Not from arrogance, but from having descended into her own depths and returned with that knowledge intact. She's been to the underworld of her own psyche. She's faced what terrified her. She's integrated what she rejected. And now she carries her authority within. The queen's crown isn't placed by others. It grows from her spine as she learns to stand in her own truth. This transition isn't about age. Some women remain in maiden psychology their entire lives, always seeking external confirmation, always performing for an audience, always needing someone else to tell them they matter. Others undergo the initiatory descent earlier, forced by circumstance, or called by something within that refuses to remain dormant. The difference shows up in how you move through the world. The maiden asks, "Do you love me?" The queen asks, "Do I love who I am with you?" The maiden performs for approval. The queen expresses from fullness. This shift requires what's called catabasis, the descent to retrieve the self. Like Inanna stripped at each gate, you've been losing the false adornments. Each layer removed feels like diminishment. But you're not losing yourself. You're losing the costume. And beneath it, you're discovering something that was always there. Not something new. Something original. The self that existed before the world taught you who to be. This is where the concept of Carl Jung empath and personal development becomes critical to understand. The transition from external validation to internal authority is the core of psychological maturation. It's the movement from unconscious adaptation to conscious self-definition. This transition isn't about becoming hard or closed. It's about becoming solid, rooted in your own ground, not dependent on others' soil to know you exist. There's a voice in your head. You've heard it your entire life. It's not your actual father, though he may have contributed to it. It's the archetype of masculine authority, the judge, the critic, the permission giver. This is what the father complex actually means, not your relationship with your dad, though that's part of it. It's the internalized masculine judgment that governs how you express yourself, what you allow yourself to want, how much space you permit yourself to take. Women carry this internal tribunal, an invisible audience of masculine approval that you've been performing for without even knowing it. The exhaustion you feel isn't from doing too much. It's from constant self-surveillance, from editing yourself in real time, from shrinking to fit what you imagine that voice requires. And now, something is dissolving. Masculine approval is stopping to matter. Not in a reactive way, not with anger or rejection. With something far more radical indifference. The opinions of men individually and collectively are losing their weight. Not because you hate men, because you've discovered you have your own authority, your own internal sense of what's right, what's true, what matters. You've built your own tribunal, and it's the only court with jurisdiction in your territory. This dissolution brings a terrifying freedom. If you're not performing for approval, who are you? If you're not shaping yourself to be loved, what shape do you take? The answer emerges slowly in the silence you've been afraid to enter. You discover that you are the only vote that matters in your territory. That your worth isn't determined by external authorities, masculine or otherwise. That sovereignty isn't something you achieve, it's something you remember. The father's voice in your head isn't protection, it's a recording playing on repeat. And you've finally found the off switch. What plays in its place is quieter, but infinitely more trustworthy. Your own knowing, your own intuition, your own truth. There's been a distortion at the core of how we understand feminine power. Eros, the principle of creative life force, has been reduced to sexual attractiveness for male consumption. Your generative capacity has been divorced from your sovereignty and turned into a performance. But the original understanding of Eros wasn't about seduction. It was about the connective principle, the force that creates life itself. Ancient traditions called it Kundalini Shakti, the creative fire. It's the same energy that creates art, vision ideas, life itself. Sexuality and creativity are expressions of the same source, and that source belongs to you. Not to those who want to consume it, appreciate it, or benefit from it. To you first. The return of this power feels like a shift in your entire presence. You stop performing sexuality and start embodying erotic energy. There's a difference. One is a costume you put on for others. The other is the fire that burns at your core, creating everything you touch. You become magnetic, not because you're trying to attract anything, because you embody creative potency itself. People sense this. They're drawn to it because it's rare. Most people have externalized their life force. They've given it away, performed it, traded it for approval. But you're calling it back. You're reclaiming your creative and sexual energy from the economy of performance and returning it to your center. From this center, you create not for applause, but for expression. Not to please, but to manifest. This is what it means to channel energy rather than use it. To be creative power rather than trying to appear powerful. The shift is subtle but absolute. And once it happens, you can't go back to performing. Your erotic power isn't a tool for others. It's your birthright. It's the generative force that allows you to bring reality into form. Reclaim it. Guard it. Let it burn at your core and watch what you create from that fire. What's happening to you right now isn't just personal. It's ancestral. The patterns you're breaking, the complexes you're healing, the consciousness you're choosing, all of it reaches backward and forward through time. You carry an inheritance, your mother's unlived life, your grandmother's silenced voice, your great-grandmother's resignation. Patterns encoded in what we might call emotional DNA. Complexes passed through generations like heirlooms no one wanted, but everyone kept. The psyche is interconnected, not just with the living, but with those who came before and those who come after. When you heal a pattern, you heal it backward and forward through time. This isn't metaphorical, it's psychological and energetic. Every woman who individuates, who integrates her shadow, who refuses to pass trauma forward, creates a pathway. The collective unconscious is altered by conscious individuals. You're not just saving yourself. You're completing a story that's been unfinished for generations. You are the dream your ancestors couldn't complete, the life they couldn't live, the voice they couldn't speak. Every step you take toward authentic selfhood heals something in the lineage. This is why the process feels so significant. Because it is. When you break a pattern, when you refuse to carry forward a dysfunction, when you choose consciousness over unconscious repetition, you're liberating not just yourself, but the entire chain of women connected to you through blood and archetype. This understanding of Carl Jung empath and personal development extends beyond individual healing into collective transformation. Your liberation is never just yours. It belongs to the women who couldn't break free and the women who will find it easier because you did. Living differently heals lineage, choosing truth over compliance, choosing wholeness over acceptability, the refusal to sacrifice yourself on the altar of others' comfort. This is how you repair the fabric. The threads reach both ways through time. Your transformation matters beyond your individual life. You're participating in the evolutionary healing of feminine consciousness itself. You are not just a woman waking up. You are the waking itself moving through form. There's a kind of loneliness that comes with consciousness, not social loneliness, the absence of people, but existential aloneness, ontological solitude. No one sees the moment you recognize yourself. The internal coronation has no witnesses. There's no applause when you finally understand who you are beneath the performances. This recognition happens in silence, in that space between who you were and who you're becoming. The individuated self is necessarily alone, not as punishment, but as the natural consequence of wholeness. You no longer fit in fixed identities or tribes. You can move through different worlds, relate to various types of people, but you are not fully of any group. Consciousness thins the herd. Not everyone can breathe at this altitude. The air is different here, rarer. You'll find fewer companions at this level of awareness, and that's not a judgment on anyone. It's simply the terrain. You no longer belong to illusions. You can't pretend you don't see what you see. Can't unknow what you know. Can't return to the comfort of unconscious participation in collective pretense. This leaves you in a very real sense, orphaned from the consensus reality most people inhabit. But here's the paradox. This solitude isn't punishment. It's freedom. You're released from belonging that requires self-betrayal. You can stand alone without feeling incomplete. Your sense of identity doesn't depend on group membership, relationship status, or social position. And this self-sufficiency, this completeness within yourself, actually enables genuine connection. When you don't need others to complete you, you can meet them freely. No agenda, no extraction, no performance. The meeting of two personalities is like chemical contact. If there's any genuine reaction, both are transformed. But true relationship, the kind that transforms, requires two whole people. Two individuals who have done the work of becoming themselves. You can't have real intimacy with fragments. You are not lonely because you're unloved. You're lonely because you've outgrown the rooms you used to fit in. The right space isn't the one you left. It's the one being built. Inside you. By you. This loneliness is not a problem to solve. It's the terrain of consciousness. Honor it as sacred space, not empty space. This is where you meet yourself. And that meeting changes everything. The old life will call you back. It always does. This is the final test, and it comes when you least expect it. Comfort. Familiarity. The ease of known patterns. Everyone would be happier if you just went back to the way you were. The relationships that benefited from your smallness will apply pressure. They'll call it concern, but it's actually fear. Fear of their own transformation that your evolution demands. This moment determines everything. Can you stay true to what you've discovered? Or will you sacrifice truth for approval? Will you continue forward when backward seems so much easier? You'll need to distinguish between fear and intuition. They can sound similar. Both speak with urgency. But there's a fundamental difference in their quality. Fear contracts. It makes you smaller, tighter, more controlled. It asks you to protect yourself from imagined futures. It whispers that you can't, shouldn't, won't be able to handle what comes next. Intuition, even when it's leading you toward difficult choices, carries a sense of rightness, of alignment, of movement toward wholeness, even if that movement is uncomfortable. It invites trust in a knowing that exists beneath thought. The practice of Carl Jung, empath, and personal development teaches us to listen beneath the anxious voice to the deeper one. The one that knows, the one that's been guiding this entire transformation even when you couldn't hear it clearly. The old life will offer you the illusion of safety. But you've tasted oxygen. You can't return to drowning and call it safety. You've seen your own depths. You can't pretend to be shallow to make others comfortable. This is the ultimate test of sovereignty. The choice to continue forward even when backward would make everyone else happier. Even when it would be easier. Even when you're exhausted and uncertain. The question isn't whether the test comes. The question is whether you'll remember who you've become when it does. Here's what you need to understand. You didn't enter into power. You are power. You always were. The essence was never absent, only hidden, buried under layers of conditioning, fear, adaptation, survival strategies. But underneath all of that, unchanged and unchangeable, was you, the original you, the irreducible core. Individuation doesn't create something new. It reveals what was always there. This entire journey isn't about becoming. It's about remembering, not achieving, returning. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. And you've been looking inside now. You've been in the depths. You've faced the shadow. You've dissolved the persona. You've integrated what was rejected. And in doing so, you've returned to yourself. This is the journey home, not to a place, to yourself. To the self that existed before the world taught you who to be. before you learned to shrink, before you traded authenticity for acceptance. There's a peace that comes with this recognition that's different from any happiness you've previously known. It's not dependent on circumstances. It doesn't fluctuate with external validation. It exists prior to events, beneath emotions, beyond the ups and downs of life. When you touch this ground, when you know yourself at this level, everything changes, while nothing changes. You still have challenges, losses, difficulties, but you have a foundation that can't be shaken. Not because it's constructed, but because it simply is. And you've finally recognized it. The woman you're meant to be isn't somewhere in the future. She's already here. She's been here the entire time, waiting beneath the rubble of who you thought you had to be, waiting for you to clear away the debris and see her. Welcome her, honor her, and most importantly, become her. Not because she's new, but because she's you. The truest version, the original, the one who was always there. This video found you as confirmation, not as a call to action. You're already on the path, already in the transition, already being remade. The universe didn't convince you, it reflected you. What matters now is whether you'll trust the process or resist it, whether you'll allow the dissolution of the false self or try to preserve it, whether you'll step into the power that's rising within you or retreat into the safety of who you used to be. You know the answer. You've known it the entire time. Trust the dissolution. Trust the empty space that terrifies you. Trust that it's actually full of becoming. If this video touched something true in you, if it named experiences you thought were uniquely yours, if it helped you understand that what feels like personal crisis is actually transformation, then share it with another woman standing where you are. Subscribe not for content, but for continued companionship on this journey toward wholeness. Leave a comment, not for me, but for the woman who will read it 6 months from now and realize she's not losing her mind. She's finding her soul. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are becoming. The universe didn't send this video to you. It sent you to the world.